Part 42. God Level Tip, report the walking 500,000 at the beginning. Author, Tien Taido. Chapter 414. The next moment, Longsheiming told Li Hao an address. This address is in the southwest of Jiangbei, which is a mountainous area and the border between Dewa and Asan. It is hundreds of kilometers away from here. But these hundreds of miles are really nothing. A sharp edge burst out of Li Hao's eyes, and then, on Li Hao's body, the powerful power of cultivation was released without reservation at this moment. Boom! In an instant, there was a bright spiritual light shining around Li Hao's body, and the spiritual light directly wrapped Li Hao's body. Suddenly, a wave of space appeared around Li Hao's body. Whoosh! In the next moment, Li Hao's body disappeared directly on the spot. The power of space. Li Hao, who has become a master of the transformation realm, can turn all the power of heaven and earth into his own use, and the power of space is no exception. Li Hao's body is directly legendary in the void. In just a moment, he has been hundreds of miles away, rushing towards the place where Longsheiming said. Mala Mountain. In the center of the camp, there was a bed in a huge tent. At this moment, a man was lying on the bed. He looked to be in his 50s or 60s, but his body was rotten beyond recognition, as if he had been burned by a raging fire. At this moment, the man's breath was very weak, and he seemed to have not breathed recently. There were some spiritual stones around the man, and he was even infused with spiritual fluid, but even with the infusion of spiritual fluid, his injuries were getting worse, as if there was a residual force in his body that was causing continuous damage to his body. This man was Nai Yuntian, the garrison commander of the Southwest Garrison Army. For some unknown reason, Nai Yuntian was seriously injured and might even die at any time. You know, Nai Yuntian is a Jindan realm expert, and he was injured like this. I don't know what he went through. At this moment, beside Nai Yuntian, the deputy garrison commander Yu Jianshan of the Southwest Garrison Army, the garrison commander Qi Lianshan, the deputy garrison commander Li Dayuan, and the military commander Longsheiming were all in the line. Damn it, I'm going to kill them. It's so damn abominable. They actually ambushed the garrison commander. Qi Lianshan looked at Nai Yuntian lying on the bed and said angrily. It's all my fault. If it weren't for me, my brother wouldn't have been ambushed. They actually joined forces with the strong men of the United States. It's really unreasonable. They hit my brother so hard. Do they really want to start a war? At this time, Li Dayuan said with self-blame. Nai Yuntian had only taken action to help him before, but the other party seemed to have expected it and also sent out strong men, and not just one, to besiege Nai Yuntian, so that Nai Yuntian couldn't beat four hands with two fists, and was finally seriously injured. I want to avenge my brother. Li Dayuan said again, and the whole person was ready to go outside. Stop. Are you going to die? At this moment, Yu Jianshan shouted again in a deep voice, calling Li Dayuan to stop. Since the other party dared to cross the line first, initiated provocation, and even seriously injured Nai Yuntian, it was enough to show that the other party had something to rely on, and if Li Dayuan and others went to take revenge, they would only die. The most urgent thing is to save the life of the garrison commander. Yu Jianshan said again. Long Kanjunshi, how is it? The next moment, Yu Jianshan looked at Longsheiming again and asked Longsheiming. Just now, Longsheiming called for help. And they all knew that the only one who could save Nai Yuntian and others was Li Hao, the newly promoted master. Master Li agreed and is on his way. Longsheiming said in a deep voice again. That's great. As long as Grandmaster Li is willing to help, Big Brother can be saved. But Jiangbei is far from here, can Grandmaster Li come? Hearing that Li Hao was already rushing over here, Li Dayuan, Qi Lianshan and others were all happy, as if they had an inexplicable trust in Li Hao. Wow! But at this moment, Na Yuntian on the bed actually vomited a large mouthful of blood with a wow sound, and even sat up from lying down. Big brother! Big brother! Garden envoy! Seeing this scene, Yu Qianshan and others couldn't help but change their expressions again, and hurried to Na Yuntian's side to support Na Yuntian, shouting in shock. Na Yuntian woke up after spitting out a large mouthful of blood. Na Yuntian could feel himself at this moment. The meridians in his body had been broken, the inner elixir was broken, and every part of his body was burned and bloody. Moreover, the spiritual power in his body was only 1/10 of what it was, and the opponent's power still remained on his body, causing constant damage to his body. At this moment, Na Yuntian was like a dying man. Na Yuntian could clearly feel that his vitality was constantly fading, and he was afraid that he didn't have much time left. I'm afraid I'm going to die. Na Yuntian looked at Yu Qianshan and the others and said directly. Ah! Big brother, don't talk nonsense. Big brother, you have to hold on. You must not die. If you die, what will happen to our Southwest Garrison Army? Big brother. Yu Qianshan and the others couldn't help but change their expressions when they heard what Na Yuntian said, and they immediately lost their voices and said again. You, listen to me. Na Yuntian said weakly again, feeling that he no longer had the energy to speak. Brother, you can't die. Brother, you can't leave us. Listen to brother. Li Dayuan and others were still talking fiercely, but Long's Himing shouted loudly before they shut up and quieted down. If I die, Qianshan will take my place and report this matter to the superiors immediately. No matter what, we must not let the territory of Dawa fall into the hands of the other party. Na Yuntian said directly again. When Yu Qianshan and others heard Na Yuntian's words, their expressions couldn't help but change again. The next moment, they were horrified to see that after Na Yuntian said this, he fainted again. Brother! Brother, don't scare us! Brother! The expressions of Yu Qianshan and others changed drastically again, and they shouted loudly. However, no matter how they shouted, Na Yuntian did not wake up, and his life was passing quickly, looking like he was helpless. Let me do it! However, at this moment, a voice suddenly resounded in this space. When everyone heard this voice, their hearts jumped suddenly. Several people looked behind them and saw a young man in casual clothes standing there. Grandmaster Li! Grandmaster Li! When Yu Qianshan and others saw this figure, an excited smile suddenly appeared on their faces. Isn't this young man who appeared just Li Hao? He is also the newly promoted Master of Dawa, and he is also a Master of Medicine. Several people clearly remember that the old injury of the Guardian was cured by the young man in front of them. Suddenly, Yu Qianshan and the others stepped aside, allowing Li Hao to walk directly to Na Yuntian's side, with a hint of hope in his eyes. Li Hao looked at Na Yuntian lying on the bed and couldn't help but frown again. Na Yuntian's injuries were not as serious as usual, and he was really running out of gas. If he had come a few minutes later, it would have been really difficult. But at this moment, with him here, this Na Yuntian's life is not in danger. Boom! Li Hao did not hesitate, and immediately activated his cultivation power, and a powerful aura was generated in Li Hao's body. Li Hao's spiritual consciousness also directly sensed it and probed into Na Yuntian's body. In an instant, Li Hao had another strange look. There was actually a special force on Na Yuntian's body, which was still eroding and burning Na Yuntian's body. Moreover, Li Hao actually felt a little familiar with this power, as if he had felt it somewhere before. The next moment, Li Hao suddenly remembered. Isn't this power the same as the power of the Holy Grail that I obtained? Li Hao couldn't help but feel something in his heart. In an emergency, a golden Holy Grail appeared in Li Hao's hand. After Li Hao injected his cultivation power into it, the Holy Grail slowly started to rotate directly on Nai Yuntian's body. Suddenly, another ray of light shone from the Holy Grail, but it soon became dim again. At the same time, the special power in Nai Yuntian's body was directly aroused, as if it was being sucked out, and was directly swallowed by the Holy Grail. That is the power of holy light. The remaining power that Nai Yuntian had in his body was the power of the holy light of foreign professionals. At this moment, Li Hao's heart couldn't help but condense again. The person who attacked Nai Yuntian must be a saint. Saint is a special profession in foreign countries. Above saints, there are saints who specialize in cultivating the power of holy light. The Holy Grail in Li Hao's hand was clearly the treasure of the saint profession, and it had just absorbed the power of the holy light remaining in Nai Yuntian's body. At this moment, the Holy Grail seemed to be a little different after absorbing the power of the holy light, but Li Hao couldn't tell the specifics. This Holy Grail is a fallen Holy Grail. It needs to be placed on the altar of light to restore its original power. Unexpectedly, even though it has fallen, it still has some effects. It seems that this Holy Grail is really extraordinary. Li Hao had such a feeling in his heart. Li Hao directly put away the Holy Grail again. On Nai Yuntian's body in front of him, the power of the holy light no longer burned his body. The next moment, another jade needle appeared in Li Hao's hand. Tianqian 9 needles. A burst of spiritual power was directly injected into the 9 Tianqian needles, and suddenly there was spiritual light flowing on the 9 Tianqian needles. Immediately, Li Hao directly pierced the jade needle into Nai Yuntian's chest. Suddenly, a powerful force of life energy directly entered Nai Yuntian's body and began to repair his heart. In an emergency, a second jade needle appeared in Li Hao's hand, and Li Hao inserted it again without hesitation. Then the third one, the fourth one. The 9 Tianqian needles came out at the 9 acupuncture points on Nai Yuntian's body to protect his vitality, at least so that Nai Yuntian would not be in danger of his life at every turn. Li Hao immediately stopped what he was doing. Grandmaster Li, how is the guard doing with him? Grandmaster Li, will my elder brother be okay? At this time, Yu Jianshan and others quickly asked Li Hao. As long as I'm here, nothing will happen. After hearing what they said, Li Hao could not help but speak slowly again. However, how could he be so seriously injured? Li Hao asked them again in a deep voice. After hearing Li Hao's question, the faces of the people changed again, and then they looked at each other. Yu Jianshan looked at Long Zhaiming again and said, Zhaiming, you should speak. Yes. Long Zhaiming nodded and said slowly. He is fine for the time being. However, next, I will refine a pill. As long as the garrison envoy eats this pill I refined, his injuries and even his cultivation power will all be restored. At this time, Li Hao said directly again. At present, Nai Yuntian's life is saved, but if he wants to restore his previous cultivation, he must take pills, and they cannot be ordinary pills. There is a kind of pill that can restore all the seriously injured cultivators whose cultivation is abolished, and the effect is extraordinary. And the name of that pill is Po-E pill. There is no on-site evil-breaking pill in Li Hao's system world, so Li Hao needs to refine it. God level tip, report the walking 500,000 at the beginning. Author, Tian Tian Taido. Chapter 415. Although Li Hao's system does not contain the Eden, Li Hao can refine it. With the improvement of Li Hao's cultivation level, Li Hao's alchemy level has naturally been greatly improved. Refining elixirs is not a problem at all, and there are various medicinal materials in Li Hao's system. There is no shortage of alchemy materials. Material. He is no longer in fear of his life, but I need to refine some elixirs. Let's go outside. Li Hao said directly to several people again. Brother, are you healed already? Didn't you hear Grandmaster Li say that you need to take another pill? Are you making elixirs now? Grandmaster Li, do you want to make elixirs now? Here. When Yu Qianshan and others heard Li Hao's words, they couldn't help but feel shocked again. They immediately looked at Nai Yuntian on the bed, and saw that Nai Yuntian's injuries had improved a lot, and his breath had become much calmer. He no longer looked like the same person. He was as dying as before, but when they heard Li Hao said that he wanted to make elixirs, they felt surprised again. It's better to go outside, it's too small here. Li Hao said lightly, although this tent is quite large, the space is limited, so it is better outside. After that, Li Hao walked directly outside the tent. Immediately, Yu Qianshan and others were ready to follow. Qianshan. At this time, Nai Yuntian shouted to Yu Qianshan again. Brother, are you awake? Brother, you finally woke up. Brother. When Yu Qianshan and others heard Nai Yuntian's words, they immediately looked towards Nai Yuntian. They were surprised when they saw Nai Yuntian waking up lying on the bed. How is big brother you? Yu Qianshan immediately asked Nai Yuntian. I can't die. Grandmaster Li deserves to be a master. I thought I was going to see the king of hell this time, but unexpectedly I was pulled back by Grandmaster Li. However, my inner elixir is broken and my cultivation is gone. I am already a useless person. 1. Nai Yuntian said calmly again. Brother, don't worry, Grandmaster Li said that he can just refine a pill for you. Your cultivation will be restored. Yu Qianshan said directly again. Really? Hearing Yu Qianshan's words, Nai Yuntian's eyes suddenly lit up. When Li Hao spoke just now, he was still in a coma and did not hear it. Now that he heard that he could recover his cultivation, his heart suddenly became filled with hope. The next moment, Yu Qianshan and others carried Nai Yuntian out directly. When a few people came out, an alchemy cauldron had appeared on the flat ground ahead. There were already many members of the Southwest Guard Army looking at him. Li Hao ignored the expressions of the people around him, his eyes condensed, and then a powerful force of cultivation burst out from Li Hao's body. Boom! The powerful aura of the God transformation realm suddenly filled the air, causing the entire space to tremble. Li Hao's eyes instantly fell on the alchemy cauldron in front of him. Bang! Immediately afterwards, Li Hao slapped his palm directly on the alchemy cauldron. A powerful spiritual power of cultivation directly entered the alchemy cauldron. In an instant, a blazing flame burned in the alchemy cauldron, and this flame was not an ordinary flame, but a heavenly fire. In an instant, the temperature of the entire space began to rise, and everyone felt a wave of heat hitting their faces. Li Hao's mind came to the refining method of breaking the Eden, and he knew directly what kind of materials needed to be used. The next moment, a large amount of spiritual grass appeared directly next to Li Hao. Those spiritual grasses were very thick, and they also had pure spiritual power emanating from them. At first glance, they were not ordinary things. What a huge ginseng! That ginseng must be 100 years old, right? And is that Yuanling grass? Why is it so big? So many spiritual herbs. Just these spiritual herbs can be worth a lot of money, right? When Li Hao took out the money for these spiritual herbs, Yu Qianshan and others were immediately shocked. They could tell at a glance that Li Hao's spiritual herbs were unusual, both in terms of age and quality. They are of the highest quality. I'm afraid if they were to be sold, they would all be priceless. I'm afraid they would fetch a lot of money. But at this moment, Li Hao took out so much at once, which still shocked them. What a generous gesture! Li Hao didn't care at all. These spiritual herbs were just taken out casually by Li Hao, and were less than 1% of the spiritual herbs in the world of Li Hao's system. The next moment, Li Hao directly threw several of the spiritual herbs into the alchemy furnace in front of him. In an instant, those spiritual herbs were burned and then began to be tempered. Immediately afterwards, Li Hao threw another spiritual grass in. His movements were extremely skillful. Li Hao, who had refined the elixir many times, was becoming more and more comfortable in refining the elixir. Li Hao controlled the flames in the alchemy furnace with smooth movements. Soon, all the spiritual herbs for refining PoortoRich were thrown in by Li Hao. After a while, with Li Hao's tempering, the figures of those spiritual herbs were no longer in the alchemy furnace, replaced by some spiritual liquid. The impurities in those spiritual herbs were burned out, and what was left was all are the essence of elixirs. Time passes slowly. The spiritual fluids in the alchemy furnace began to slowly merge together again. Li Hao's consciousness carefully perceived the alchemy furnace and did not dare to be careless in the slightest. That's almost it? Li Hao murmured again. The refining is almost done, and the next step is to condense it. The essence of the elixir is condensed together, and then sealed in the elixir to make the effect less likely to dissipate. As long as the condensation is successful and spiritual power is injected, that is, the spirit is ascended, thereby improving the quality of the elixir, then the refining of the elixir is considered a success. Right now, the refining is very close. However, at this moment, Li Hao's brows frowned slightly. In Li Hao's spiritual perception, a strong person was approaching quickly. He is not a master of transforming gods, but he is a powerful person comparable to those in the late stage of the Dan formation realm. This cultivation level is already very powerful when placed here, and it is not even one. In Li Hao's spiritual exploration, there were two powerful auras, but Li Hao was very unfamiliar with these two auras. Come with bad intentions. Li Hao suddenly had such a feeling. Rumble. A huge roaring sound resounded not far away. Buzz buzz. Suddenly, the piercing sirens resounded throughout the battlefield, and the sound was earth-shattering. There are enemies. An enemy is coming. Prepare to fight. In an instant, many people exclaimed, and even the scene became a little chaotic. At this moment, the expressions of Yu Qianshan and others changed. They all raised their heads and looked in one direction. They could see that in that direction, there were dense figures appearing in their sight, rushing towards here. And those figures are not from here, they are wearing unique clothes. These people are all from Yindu. Not good. There is an enemy invasion. You are really looking for death. You actually dare to attack us. Everyone, follow me to meet the enemy. When Yu Qianshan, Li Deyuan, and others saw this scene, their expressions suddenly became extremely stern, and they shouted angrily. A powerful aura erupted from their bodies, as if they were going to meet the enemy. However, before they could take action, the bodies of the team members were directly blasted away. Amen, please give me strength. I only saw a blond man in front of Na Sangwo's camp. He was holding a golden cross in his hand. Suddenly, a bright light appeared on his body, which was the holy light. The next moment, he held the cross and gestured to the front again, and said directly. As his voice came out, there seemed to be a divine power in the world that suddenly fell on him. The dazzling holy light was projected directly forward. With extremely hot power, it was unstoppable and fell directly on the members of the Southwest Guards. In an instant, these team members felt as if they had been hit hard, spurting out blood and flying backwards. Their shirts and bodies were shattered, as if they were directly burned. In just a moment, the troops on this side were seriously injured. This is our territory. We will take it back today. You are so weak. You are simply vulnerable. Haha, you people are nothing more than that. At this moment, those little assassins from Yindu across the street suddenly said arrogantly and rushed towards the side with great momentum. Yindu is a very chaotic capital on the mainland, and the people there are all sinister and vicious people. Damn it, you are looking for death. This has always been our territory. Dare to invade our area. injuring my compatriots on our territory. This is unreasonable. Kill. Kill. The team members were not cowards. Even when they saw such a large formation from the opponent, they still did not show any fear. They shouted angrily, and then rushed towards the people from a Sun kingdom regardless of life and death. But, the next moment, I saw the blond foreign man. The cross in his hand was illuminated by the holy light, and it fell directly on these team members, burning many of them. At the same time, another man standing next to the man, wearing a crutch and wrapped in a white robe, also had a strong aura. He waved the crutch in his hand, and for a moment he seemed to have a strange power. After giving birth, some small bugs appeared from the crutch, and instantly turned into huge poisonous bugs, heading forward. Ah! Ah! Immediately, there were screams one after another. Many members of the Southwest Guard Army screamed in pain and fell to the ground, moaning uncontrollably. The poisonous insects fell directly on them, attacking them. Their bodies kept biting. In just a moment, the members of the Southwest Guards Army suffered many casualties. "You protect my brother, I will kill him," Yu Jianshan said to Li Dayuan and others, even if he wanted to rush out. "You are no match for these two. Wait a minute." But at this moment, Li Hao's voice came faintly again. "The blond man on the other side and the man wrapped in white robes are obviously the leaders. One is a witch and goo master, and the other should be a saint. The injuries on Nai Yuntian's body were probably caused by this blond man." Li Hao glanced at the other party indifferently, but ignored him. At this moment, he had reached the critical moment of alchemy, so it was not easy to take action. It would only take 1 minute. But if he did not take action, these members of the Southwest Garrison Army would probably die. Boom. So, Li Hao waved his hand again, and a spiritual power blasted out directly from Li Hao's hand, directly heading towards all directions of the entire garrison. Buzz buzz buzz. The next moment, a majestic force suddenly erupted from the ground. Countless spiritual lights flowed and rose in this space, shuttling non-stop, carrying the power of spiritual power. In just a moment, a strange force suddenly appeared above this garrison, which directly enveloped the entire garrison, as if isolating the inside and the outside. Bang 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 bang. At this moment, those Indians who rushed towards the side seemed to be hit by an invisible force, and their bodies were directly blasted back. When others rushed again, they were directly blown away. That is the power of the formation. Although Li Hao couldn't take action directly at this moment, Li Hao casually arranged a powerful defensive spiritual formation to protect the entire garrison. The opponent would definitely not be able to break it for a while. Huh? Is this a formation? They can't get in. What a powerful formation. Yu Jianshan, Qi Lianshan, and others looked at the scene in front of them, and their hearts were directly shocked. A formation directly protected the entire garrison of the Southwest Garrison Army, and the opponent couldn't get in. This method is simply too powerful. Huh? At this moment, the blond man and the white-robed man on the opposite side saw this scene, and their faces were also condensed. Formation? They actually prepared a formation. "Master Nock, it's up to you," the man in white robe said to the blond man beside him. This blond man had an extraordinary identity. He was specially sent from other places to help them in Yindu. His name was Nock. He was also a powerful saint from abroad. His holy light method was very powerful. However, the scene that happened in the next moment made Nock's eyes widen. I saw his holy light turned into a powerful light column and blasted directly forward, but the next moment, the light column fell into the void in front, but was blocked by an invisible force, followed by a ripple, and the holy light column dissipated directly, as if nothing had happened. How is this possible? Nock said in disbelief. His powerful holy light actually dissipated directly? Was it blocked by this formation? Break it for me. Nock shouted loudly again. He didn't believe the scene in front of him. He burst out with powerful power and launched a holy light attack again. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. God level tip, report the walking 500,000 at the beginning. Author, Tien Taido. Chapter 416. However, when Nanok's power of holy light struck the formation again, a scene exactly the same as before suddenly appeared. Only a ripple appeared in the void again, and the power of the holy light suddenly dissipated. How so? Nock couldn't believe the scene in front of him, and he doubted himself a little. He was a saint, but he couldn't even attack the opponent's formation? The man next to him in a white robe, whose name is Tam, is the commander of the opponent and a powerful witchcraft master. When he saw this scene, his eyes widened with an expression of disbelief. He knew the opponent's powerful methods. The opponent's guardian was injured by him before. Even if the holy light fell on him, he couldn't bear it. Tam even saw that when his men moved towards each other, they were directly knocked back. That formation shrouded the opponent's position, making it insurmountable. Let me try it. When Tam saw this scene, he was very angry and said in a deep voice. The next moment, a powerful aura burst out from Tam's body. Immediately afterwards, Tam waved the crutch in his hand forward again. Buzz buzz. In an instant, countless densely packed poisonous insects appeared, making an endless buzzing sound, filling the entire space, and headed forward. However, when these poisonous insects landed on the formation, they were all blocked. How is that possible? At this moment, Tam was muttering again, not believing that even his goo worms could not break through this formation. Next, Natum and Nock kept bombarding the formation, but they still failed to break the formation. This scene was shocking to the eyes of the team members stationed inside. Isn't this too strong? Grandmaster Li is worthy of being Grandmaster Li. Even Yu Qianshan and Li Dayuan made extremely shocking sounds when they saw this scene. They knew that Li Hao was very powerful, but they didn't know that Li Hao was so powerful. It was just a casually arranged formation, but it blocked all the intruders from the outside of the station. Li Hao, on the other hand, didn't pay attention to the situation outside the formation at all. At this moment, Li Hao's Lian Dan has come to an end, which is the most critical moment. Li Hao controlled the output of his spiritual power and controlled the flames in the alchemy cauldron. Compression. Recompress. Li Hao even controlled the pressure in the alchemy cauldron, directly acting on the essence of the elixir. Soon, as more and more powerful pressure acted on the elixir essence finally slowly condensed into a round shape and became solid. Condensation successful. Next, Li Hao injected another spiritual power into the alchemy cauldron. The next moment. Boom! There was a roaring sound suddenly. The flames in the alchemy cauldron immediately dissipated, and a fresh aroma of the elixir suddenly spread. In Li Hao's hand, a round pill has appeared. Breaking the Eden, the refining was successful. At this moment, Yu Qianshan and others' eyes fell on Li Hao's hand, their eyes filled with heat. Success. Did you succeed in refining the alchemy? Everyone murmured, surprised and confused. The next moment. Just take this pill. Li Hao came directly to Nai Yuntian's side again, said to him, and handed the elixir in his hand to Nai Yuntian. Nai Yuntian looked at the elixir in Li Hao's hand and couldn't help but feel moved in his heart. He immediately took the elixir directly. The next moment, Nai Yuntian directly put the elixir in his mouth. The elixir melted in the mouth and immediately turned into a touch of spiritual liquid, which directly entered Nai Yuntian's body. Suddenly, Nai Yuntian felt a cool feeling. Comfortable. The effect of this elixir spread directly in Nai Yuntian's body. At this moment, the original injuries in Nai Yuntian's body began to recover directly. The originally broken meridians, bones, and even the internal organs were directly repaired at this moment. Break Erden. If it is not broken, it cannot be established. If it is broken, it will be established. At this moment, the inner elixir that had been broken in Nai Yuntian's Danshan began to be slowly reshaped again at this moment. The powerful effect of PoortoRich directly caused Nai Yuntian, whose body had been damaged to the extreme, to recover directly at this moment. A pure spiritual power circulated and rose over Nai Yuntian's body again. Boom! The next moment, a powerful cultivation momentum burst out from Nai Yuntian's body again. Nai Yuntian's cultivation was completely restored at this moment. The momentum that burst out was even more powerful than before. This serious injury was not only an ordeal, but also an opportunity. Brother, have you recovered? Brother, you seem to be stronger than before. Brother, how do you feel? At this moment, Yu Qianshan and others looked at Nai Yuntian again, their eyes filled with shock and excitement. They could clearly feel the powerful pressure coming from Nai Yuntian's body. My cultivation base has all been restored, and I have even broken through the previous realm. Nai Yuntian was undoubtedly very excited at this moment. He clearly felt that the powerful force filling his body at this moment was even stronger than before. His cultivation level has even reached a breakthrough. He was originally just a monk in the early stage of the Dan formation realm, but now he has directly entered the middle stage of the Dan formation realm. Originally, he thought that he was really going to die this time, and he was afraid that he would have to see the king of hell. But what he didn't expect was that Li Hao appeared at the critical moment and pulled him back from the desperate situation of death. A single pill directly brought him from the dead end to the top of the mountain again. When Yu Qianshan and others around him heard Nai Yuntian's voice, they suddenly became excited again. Thank you, Grandmaster Li. Grandmaster Li, you are a great benefactor to our Southwest Guards army. Please accept my obeisance. Suddenly, voices of gratitude came out from the mouths of Yu Qianshan, Li Dayuan, and others, and some of them even knelt down directly in the direction of Li Hao. That's not necessary. Li Hao simply waved his hand, and a powerful force immediately dragged these people up, preventing them from kneeling down. He only heard Li Hao say lightly again. Guardian Nai was injured just to protect my safety. It is my duty to save Guardsman Nai. Immediately, Li Hao said to the crowd again. God level tip, report the walking 500,000 at the beginning. Author, Tian Tian Taido. Chapter 417. Okay, now that you're fine, it's time to deal with these guys in front of you. Li Hao said calmly to Nai Yuntian again, but his eyes turned to the right and looked at the people outside. Grandmaster Li, let me do it. Nai Yuntian said to Li Hao again. However, Li Hao shook his head and said lightly. Although your cultivation has recovered and you have even broken through to a new level, you are no match for the two of them. After Li Hao finished speaking, he walked straight ahead again. The next moment, Li Hao waved his hand, and the formation above the entire station suddenly dispersed. At this moment, when Locke and Tam saw the formation dissipating in front of them, a look of surprise suddenly appeared on their faces. The next moment, their eyes fell on Li Hao again. Their eyes suddenly condensed, and their expressions changed suddenly. The young man in front of them looked like an ordinary person to them, but for some reason, they felt a faint sense of threat from the young man in front of them. Immediately afterwards, their eyes fell behind the young man, and they saw Nai Yuntian, Yu Qianshan, and others reappearing with the members of the garrison. How is this possible? You are actually better. At this time, Nock's eyes fell on Nai Yuntian behind Li Hao. When he saw Nai Yuntian's appearance, Locke's expression suddenly changed. Nock immediately pointed at Nai Yuntian and said in shock. Isn't the person in front of me the other party's commander? In the previous battle, I had been seriously injured by his holy light, and even died directly. However, what Nyo didn't expect was that this guy actually returned to his previous appearance as if he had never been injured in such a short period of time. How is this possible? So what if you recover? Since I can cripple you once, I can cripple you a second time. Nock's heart was extremely shocked, and his face became extremely gloomy. At this moment, he said sharply to Na Yuntian again. Suddenly, a powerful cultivation aura erupted from Nock's body, and a bright holy light shone on Locke's body. Nock held the cross tightly in his hand, and another wave of energy was released from the cross. This powerful force brought Locke's aura to the extreme. Boom! The next moment, Nock burst out with another force, and even though there was bright holy light, it appeared again, heading directly in the direction of Na Yuntian. However, Na Yuntian didn't wait for him to take action. It's so audacious to be so rampant and wantonly in our territory. You deserve to die. A sharp voice suddenly resounded in the space. Nanook and Tam immediately turned their attention to Li Hao again, and their eyes suddenly burst out with surprise. Their hearts couldn't help but thump, but their expressions remained unchanged. He said sharply again. What? Don't you have any strong people? You actually sent a yellow-haired kid out. You are looking for death. As Nock's voice fell, the holy light on Locke turned directly and blasted towards Li Hao. Li Hao's expression remained as usual, and he even walked forward calmly, but there was a sharp edge in his eyes. It's true that those who don't know are fearless. Li Hao said lightly again, and a sneer appeared on his face. Boom! The next moment, a super powerful cultivation aura suddenly erupted from Li Hao's body. The majestic aura soared into the sky, causing the wind and clouds to roll back and the heaven and earth to change color. Li Hao's whole person became extremely aloof, exuding an aura that towered over heaven and earth. This moment, Li Hao's cultivation in the divine transformation realm was released without reservation. An extremely powerful force of oppression swept away instantly. At this moment, Nanook and Tam's expressions changed with horror, and a powerful sense of oppression filled their bodies. They felt as if the power in their bodies had been completely suppressed. An extremely powerful sense of crisis suddenly filled their hearts again. How so? If it's fake, it must be fake. The two of them looked in disbelief at this moment, and they couldn't even speak clearly. At the next moment, Li Hao slowly walked towards them, and every step seemed to step on their hearts. When Nock and Tam saw this scene, their expressions were extremely horrified. Go to hell. At this moment, it was Tam who took the lead, punching the crutch in his hand, and a powerful force of cultivation burst out instantly, followed by another strange force that filled the air from Tam's body. That is the art of witchcraft. Buzz buzz buzz. In an instant, there was another endless buzzing sound in the entire space, and everyone was horrified to see that a thick black fog seemed to appear around Nadamu's body. However, when everyone looked carefully, they realized that it was not a thick fog, but a mass of endless poisonous insects. Immediately afterwards, I saw the crutch in Nadamu's hand swinging towards Li Hao again. Suddenly, the endless poisonous insects seemed to have received the owner's instructions and flew in the direction of Li Hao. Suddenly, they were like a thick black mass. The fog wanted to swallow Li Hao's body. However, Li Hao remained calm. The next moment, he waved his hand in front of him. In the void, a blazing flame appeared. The art of the god of fire. Then, the blazing flame suddenly blasted forward again. Chi chi chi. In an instant, wherever the flame passed, there were crackling and chi chi sounds. It was the sound of the poisonous insects being burned by the flames. A burnt smell suddenly filled the space again. In just a moment, all the poisonous insects were burned to ashes, leaving no residue. Ah! At the same time, Tam let out another scream, followed by a sound of blood spurting out, and a stream of blood spurted out of Tam's mouth. These poisonous insects were raised by Tam with his own blood essence, obeyed Tam's orders, and had an inseparable connection with Tam. At this moment, these poisonous insects were burned to ashes, and he was directly attacked and injured instantly. "My poisonous insect, I will kill you," Tam said sadly. His eyes were filled with raging anger, and he suddenly burst out with all his strength and rushed towards Li Hao. However, seeing this scene, another jade needle appeared in Li Hao's hand. The next moment, the jade needle left his hand and shuttled through the space with a sense of penetration. Squeak! The jade needle contained a powerful sword intent. In an instant, the spiritual light flashed and penetrated through Tam's body. Then, Tam was motionless. A pinhole appeared on his forehead. Death. Those who offend me will be punished even if they are far away. God level tip, report the walking 500,000 at the beginning. Author, Tian Taido. Chapter 418. A pinhole appeared on Tam's forehead. He stood there blankly, motionless, his eyes began to fade, and the vitality in his body began to rapidly drain away at this moment, and it had dissipated in an instant. Death. His eyes were filled with an unconcealable horror, and at the same time, there was a touch of despair. He didn't expect that he would die in the hands of the young man in front of him. How could this be possible? He was a powerful witch. Even at the moment of death, he couldn't believe that his life would end at this moment. He felt a sense of regret in his heart, but at this moment it was too late to save the situation. Li Hao used the Tianqian 9 needles to directly kill Tam with powerful means. Those who offend me will be punished even if they are far away. Li Hao's domineering tone resounded in this space at this moment. It fell into the ears of those around him, causing them to feel an unparalleled shock in their hearts. Dead. Killed just like that. Isn't this too powerful? At this moment, everyone looked at the scene in front of them in shock and said in surprise. The leader of one of the two powerful men on the other side was killed by Li Hao in a moment. They didn't even see how Li Hao did it. They only saw a flash of inspiration and the other party's life was ended. At the same time, Nock looked at the scene in front of him, and his eyes became horrified. A look of fear suddenly appeared in his heart. The strength of the young man in front of him made him feel a little afraid. And at this moment, after killing Tam, the young man in front of him set his sights on him again, with a fierce look in his eyes. Nock's heart couldn't help but condense again, and his heart fell to the bottom. He even felt a strong killing intent from the other party's eyes. Nock instinctively stretched out a trace of timidity, and even wanted to leave directly at this moment. However, the arrow was already on the string and had to be shot. It's your turn. At this time, Li Hao looked at the guy in front of him indifferently and said coldly, as if he was judging him. Boom. The next moment, a powerful aura of cultivation suddenly burst out from Li Hao's body, and the aura soared directly into the sky. A ray of spiritual light shot out directly from Li Hao's hand, and it was another jade needle, and the jade needle was accompanied by a strong sword power. Squeak. A piercing sound resounded in the void, and the jade needle was seen endlessly shuttling in the void, penetrating the space, and suddenly descended on Nak's body in the next moment. When Nak saw this scene, his face changed again in horror. Then, a force burst out from Nock's body, and a brilliant holy light rose from Locke's body. The holy light directly enveloped Nock's body and turned it into a shield, forming a powerful defense on Locke's body. Squeak. Then there was another harsh sound, and the jade needle hit the opponent's holy light shield, but was blocked. Huh. Li Hao saw this scene, and there was a touch of surprise in his eyes. His jade needle didn't penetrate the opponent? Haha, that's all? It didn't even break my holy light defense. At this time, Nock just saw the scene and laughed again, with a smug look on his face. He thought that the opponent's method was very powerful, and it must be extraordinary to be able to kill Tam directly, but at this moment he didn't expect that the opponent's attack didn't even break his defense. For a moment, he felt that the other party seemed to be just that. Haha. It's a bit unexpected? In that case, let me show you another way of my dealings. Li Hao heard the other party's voice, but he laughed disdainfully again and said proudly. Boom. As Li Hao's voice fell, a shocking momentum burst out from Li Hao's body. At the same time, it was accompanied by a strange power rising up. Then, everyone was shocked to see that a strong golden light shone from the body of Li Hao in front of them. The golden light was extremely bright, and it revealed a supreme and majestic power. Buzz 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 buzz. At this moment, the whole space was shaking, and it seemed that there was endless Sanskrit sound in the world, and some phantoms of the fairy palace appeared above the sky, looming. Above the world, there was actually an image. Everyone, look, what is that? It's a vision, it's a vision. What level of power is it? At this moment, everyone felt a strong sense of oppression, and their hearts were even more throbbing. Then, they saw the extremely dazzling golden light on Li Hao's body directly covering him, and a towering figure appeared on Li Hao's body again. It was a Buddha. The Buddha stood proudly in the sky, as if he was above the heaven and earth. He pointed to the sky with one hand and the ground with the other, as if the whole world was trembling under his feet. Extremely domineering. The next moment, Li Hao moved. A faint smile appeared on the corner of Li Hao's mouth, but a sharp light burst out from his eyes. Li Hao slowly raised one hand and sent out a palm. At this moment, the towering figure on Li Hao's body was also directly attracted by Li Hao and blasted out a palm. A palm came out, revealing a supreme power, which changed the color of the world. At this moment, it seemed that only this palm was left in the whole world. Tathagata palm. Li Hao once again performed Tathagata palm, this extremely powerful palm method. As Li Hao's cultivation level increased, its power became more and more terrifying. A palm fell, directly across the sky, and suddenly descended towards the direction of Nok. At this moment, Nok felt a strong sense of crisis, as if at this moment, even his hair stood up. Immediately afterwards, Nok also released all his cultivation power without reservation. Lord, please give me strength. Nok held the cross in his hand, and a strange power was released from the cross in an instant, with a strong light shining, and a sacred power was revealed in the light. The next moment, this Nok directly put the cross against his chest, and then pushed the cross heavily. In an instant, there was an extremely strong holy light force blasting forward. Where the holy light passed, it seemed to be able to annihilate everything. Then, everyone was shocked to see that the divine palm exerted by Li Hao directly collided with the opponent's holy light power. At this moment, it seemed that the whole space was solidified. However, it was the next moment. Boom! A dull sound resounded throughout the space. That was the collision of the holy light power and the Buddha light power. The next moment, everyone was shocked to see that the holy light was directly blasted away under the powerful power of the Buddha light palm. The holy light dissipated, but the divine palm still revealed an unparalleled power and descended directly on Nok. Nok was extremely shocked when he saw this scene. He wanted to dodge, but he could not avoid it. At the critical moment, he directly formed a shield of holy light on his body. Bang! Then, a dull sound suddenly sounded. Puff! Then there was a sound of blood spurting, and everyone saw that Nok spurted out a large mouthful of blood, and his body seemed to be hit by a powerful force and flew backwards. Nok's body was directly blasted more than 10 feet away before it fell heavily to the ground. At this moment, Locke looked extremely embarrassed, his clothes were torn, and his face and clothes were all covered with blood. Nok's face was full of horror, and his heart was even more unbelievable. One palm. The other party only used one palm. But this palm directly suppressed his most powerful holy light power, which was not a level of power at all. At this moment, Nock saw the young man in front of him with a normal look, as if he had not used any power just now. Then, Nock saw that the young man had a faint arc on his mouth and walked towards her slowly. You, what are you going to do? At this moment, Nock was really scared, and he said to Li Hao in horror. Haha, what? Of course, I'm going to kill you. Li Hao said lightly. Those who offend me will be punished even if they are far away. It was still the same words as before, but when these words fell into Nock's ears, it seemed like another judgment from the king of hell. Seeing that there was a powerful force bursting out from Li Hao's body again, an astonishing might instantly emerged from Li Hao's body, and Li Hao immediately wanted to kill the guy in front of him. No, please don't kill me. Seeing this scene, Nock suddenly became cowardly again and begged for mercy to Li Hao. When Li Hao heard what the other party said, he did not stop his movements at all and remained unmoved. Please spare my life, I was wrong. Nock begged for mercy to Li Hao again. Bang. Then, another crisp sound rang out, and everyone was shocked to see that Nock actually knelt down directly in front of Li Hao at this moment. He, spare your life. When Li Hao heard what the other party said, he laughed coldly again. You killed my compatriots and hurt my friends, how can I spare you? Li Hao said to Nock coldly again. I kneel down for you. Please spare my life. I can be a slave, as long as you spare my life, anything is fine. This, Nock said to you again, he is still very young, he doesn't want to die at all, at this moment, in order to survive, he even said the words of being a slave of Li Hao. Really? Li Hao's expression froze again when he heard the other party's words. Do you know where the altar of light is? Li Hao asked Nock again. At this moment, he really wanted to ask a question. After getting the fallen Holy Grail last time, the system directly gave Li Hao a task. And this task was to put the fallen Holy Grail on the altar of light, awaken the Holy Grail spirit in the Holy Grail, so that the Holy Grail would no longer fall and restore its sacred power. But after getting this task, Li Hao didn't know where the altar of light was, so he couldn't complete the task for a while. Thinking of this at this moment, and thinking of the other party's identity as a saint, Li Hao directly asked the question that he was most concerned about at the moment. The altar of light. When Nock heard Li Hao's words, he couldn't help but show a touch of surprise. The altar of light is on our holy mountain of light, and the holy mountain is on the west bank of the Sunset Country, our headquarters. Although Nock was a little confused, in order to survive at this moment, Nock directly told what he knew. When Li Hao heard what Nock said, his expression couldn't help but be shocked again. Holy Mountain of Light. The west bank of the Sunset Country. Li Hao wrote down these two places. It seems that he will go to the Sunset Country next. Complete the task ahead of time and get the reward ahead of time. Maybe his cultivation can go further. The most important thing is, what is the super reward prompted by the system? Li Hao is also a little curious. And that Sunset Country just happened to be next to the Buddha Country. I can go to the Sunset Country first to complete the task given by the system, and then I can go directly to the Buddha Country to bring Linda back. It will definitely not be so easy to bring Linda back to the Buddha Country, so completing the task in advance may allow my cultivation to be further improved, and then I will have a stronger confidence when I go to the Buddha Country. Immediately, Li Hao looked at the Nock in front of him again. It is somewhat useful. It should be more convenient to take this guy with me to the Sunset Country. So, a strange power was released directly from Li Hao's body. I saw Li Hao's hand draw several times in the void and quickly seal. Immediately, a soul contract appeared in front of Li Hao's body and slowly floated towards the direction of Nock. Since you don't want to die and want to be a slave, then I will grant you your wish. Condense a drop of your blood essence and put it in this contract. Li Hao said directly to Nock. Nock looked at the contract in front of him and his expression changed again. Soul contract. Nock didn't expect that the other party would perform a soul contract competitively. As a saint, he naturally knew the power of the soul contract. As long as this contract is signed, he will definitely be enslaved and have no power to resist. Even if the other party dies, this contract cannot be cancelled unless the other party takes the initiative to cancel it for him. But at this moment, Locke has no choice. In order to survive, he can only condense a drop of blood essence and slowly drop it on the contract. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. God level tip, report the walking 500,000 at the beginning. Author, Tien Taido. Chapter 419. When this knock dripped his blood onto the contract, Li Hao immediately felt that there was an extra layer of connection between him and the other party. It was a feeling of control, as if the other party's life and death depended on his own thoughts. At the same time, this knock felt that his life was no longer under his control, and his face turned pale. Knock exhaled heavily, and a sense of loss arose in his heart. Although he became the other party's slave, he knew that he didn't have to die. After Li Hao signed a soul contract with this knock, he also knew the identity of this guy. He was a deacon of the powerful foreign cultivation force, the God of Light. His cultivation was a saint, and his realm was comparable to that of a cultivator in the Jindan realm. The reason why he came here this time was to obey the orders of the high-level officials of the God of Light and find a way to make the situation here chaotic. Of course, this time he came here, in addition to obeying the orders of the high-level officials of the God of Light, he also got a lot of benefits from this time. However, what Nock didn't expect was that there was actually a strong man from Dawa here, an absolute master. He had never felt such a terrifying aura even from the president of the God of Light. The young man in front of him was probably even more powerful than the president of their God society. Nock, go and deal with these people. Li Hao said to Nock directly and lightly, making use of waste. Yes. Hearing Li Hao's words, Nock didn't dare to disobey in the slightest. The next moment, his eyes fell on those people from Yindu not far away. At this moment, those people in Yindu saw that their boss Tam was directly killed by the other party, and the saint they invited was enslaved by the other party. Their faces suddenly became extremely horrified, and a terrifying emotion spread in their hearts. Ah! Master Tam is dead. Everyone run. Run away. For a while, screams were heard everywhere, and they came out from the mouths of those Yindu people, and then everyone saw these guys running towards the back without hesitation. Die. However, at this moment, a sharp voice came out of Nock's mouth. The next moment, a strong momentum suddenly emerged from Nock's body, and the holy light suddenly shone from his body, shining forward and falling on the fleeing Yindu people. How could those Yindu people escape the shining of this holy light? Then everyone saw that wherever the holy light passed, one figure after another fell down, as if there were flames burning on their bodies. Puff puff puff. Then, these people's bodies began to burn directly. Ah! Ah! The screams suddenly came out of the mouths of these Yindu people, and they were endless. In just a moment, those Yindu people who had attacked the side before were all dead at this moment, without exception. After doing all this, Nock came directly to Li Hao's side with a respectful look on his face. Li Hao's expression did not change much when he saw this scene. For these invading enemies, those vicious Yindu people, Li Hao had no mercy at all. He only had one word: kill. At this moment, the scene became quiet for a while. Li Hao turned his eyes to Nai Yuntian and others behind him. He saw that they were looking at him, and their eyes were full of awe for the strong. Is it solved like this? All dead. This is the power of the master. Everyone looked at the scene in front of them in disbelief, and their hearts were shocked to the extreme. Li Hao looked at the members of the garrison in front of him. Many of them were still injured. Li Hao waved his hand again, and immediately one piece of spiritual stone after another flew out, and these spiritual stones were scattered directly in all directions of the garrison. Buzz buzz buzz. In a moment, the entire space was filled with extremely rich spiritual power, and a formation suddenly appeared again. What is this? Spirit formation? Is this a spirit formation? Na Yuntian and the others were shocked to see the scene in front of them, and their hearts were filled with excitement. The next moment, they saw that it was raining above the sky. It was rain that contained spiritual power, spiritual rain. Crash. These spiritual rains fell directly on the soldiers. For a moment, everyone felt that spiritual power instantly entered their bodies to nourish their injured bodies. My injuries are healed. Wow, so comfortable. I'm all recovered. I'm full of strength. The members of the garrison army immediately made extremely excited voices. At this moment, all their injuries were healed. Nok, who was next to him, looked at the scene and was shocked. This method is too powerful. Not long after, everyone's state returned to the peak. Na Yuntian, Li Dayuan, and others came to Li Hao. One after another, figures gathered in the direction of Li Hao. Thank you, Master Li. Thank you, Master Li. Master Li is our savior. Na Yuntian and others said directly to Li Hao, their gratitude was beyond words. Grand Master Li, there is no way I can repay you for saving my life. Please accept my bow. After Na Yuntian finished speaking, he knelt down directly to Li Hao. As the garrison envoy of the Southwest Garrison, he felt no psychological burden at this moment and felt that it was natural for him to kneel down and worship Li Hao. However, Longsheiming and others were shocked when they saw this scene. Grand Master Li, please accept my worship. Grand Master Li. Immediately afterwards, Longsheiming and many other senior officials of the Southwest Guards also knelt down before Li Hao. No need to be like this. It's a trivial matter, no need to worry about it. Li Hao waved lightly, a force of 5 elements lifted everyone up, and then said lightly. Grand Master Li, if it weren't for you, our Southwest Guards army would have been completely destroyed. If it weren't for you, the land under our feet would have been occupied by the other side. You are the great benefactor of our Southwest Guards army. Na Yuntian said to Li Hao again. Yes, Grand Master Li, you are our great benefactor. You deserve to be worshipped by us. Immediately afterwards, the members of the garrison behind also said to Li Hao and bowed directly. When I saw the scene later, I shook my head slightly, feeling helpless and said nothing more. Now that everything is fine, it's almost time for me to leave. Li Hao said directly to Na Yuntian and others again. As soon as he finished speaking, Li Hao's figure disappeared from the same place and headed directly to Jiangbei. As for Nok, Li Hao did not take him with him, but sent him directly back to Sunset Country. He signed a good soul contract with Nok. He was not worried at all and had very strong confidence in his soul contract. His soul contract cannot be broken even by a strong master. After Li Hao left, Na Yuntian reported what happened here. Soon, the news here had spread to Jinghua City. And at this moment, in a courtyard in Jinghua City, in a conference room, there were several figures sitting at the moment, some men and some women, but they all looked to be of a certain age. To be precise, they were 4 men and 1 woman. Among them, Zhao Tianchen was prominently listed, but at this moment, Zhao Tianchen was actually sitting at the end of the table. The few people in front of him looked very ordinary, but they were filled with an aura of transcendence. Obviously, these people are not ordinary. Just now, news came from Na Yuntian of the Southwest Guard Army. Those people in Yindu provoked a dispute and invaded our border. They even injured many people in our guard army, even Nai Yuntian was seriously injured and was on the verge of death. Die. Zhao Tianxian said to several people slowly, as if making a report. Huh? People from Yindu actually dare to violate our boundaries. How can this be so unreasonable? Are they looking for death? Is this actually happening? Does this mean you don't take our Dawa seriously at all? Several people said lightly again, and one of the old men looked at Zhao Tianxian again and said in a deep voice to Zhao Tianxian. Since you're saying it now, then this matter must have been resolved, right? After hearing the old man's words, Zhao Tianxian nodded immediately. Well, all of these people are dead, including one of their leading senior wizards. Zhao Tianxian said slowly again. Since the opponent can hurt the guards of the Southwest Guard Army, they must be very powerful. Who is the one on our side? It shouldn't be you, right? At this time, the old man heard Zhao Tianxian's words and said calmly. As the guardian of the garrison, he is very powerful, at least a strong man in the pill-forming realm. Since the other party can severely damage the guardian, he must be very powerful. An ordinary person cannot solve such a situation. Matter. It's not me. It's our Dawa's newly promoted Grand Master Li Hao. Zhao Tianxian said slowly again. This Li Hao again. It turned out to be him. When several people heard Zhao Tianxian's words, they couldn't help but feel shocked again. Although they didn't care about worldly affairs and had been practicing in seclusion, this was not the first time they heard Li Hao's name. After a moment, the old man sitting at the head of the table said directly. Give him an identity. Since such a person is in our Dawa, he must naturally be brought into our camp. But what to give? At this time, someone next to me said again. The old man pondered for a moment and then spoke slowly. For having made such a great contribution and being a strong master, it would not be an exaggeration to reward him as a general. When several people heard the old man's words, they were suddenly shocked. Give it to a general? What a great identity this is. If an ordinary member of the garrison wants to become a general, usually he will not be able to do so until his death. At this moment, can the opponent easily get a general? Great Elder, I'm afraid something isn't right. Yes, Great Elder, is it too much to give it to a general casually? Suddenly, several people next to him also said quickly. However, when the old man heard what a few people said, he said calmly. That's it? As the old man finished speaking, the people around him stopped talking. He knew that the old man had made up his mind. As the real ruler of Dawa, he had absolute decision-making power. As for Mr. Zhao, he was just a spokesperson for them. They would not show up on weekdays. It was Zhao Tianxian who would show up. Unless Dawa was in a life-or-death situation, they would show up to save the situation. And they were also the foundation of Dawa. They were all at the top of the transformation realm, and the old man had even stepped half a foot into the fairyland. Zhao Tianxian left, but his heart was shocked beyond measure. He gave him a general directly. How old was he? A general was equivalent to being at the same level as those garrison commanders. Zhao Tianxian knew that once his news came out, Dawa would have the youngest general. Li Hao returned directly to Jiangbei. The next day, Li Hao went to school again and continued to attend classes. Yesterday morning, Li Hao drove his Lamborghini Venezia and took Ye Xiun directly to Jiangbei University. Ye Xiun was still wearing a cheongsam. She was tall and looked noble and elegant, and her beauty was simply beyond description. When Li Hao brought Ye Xiun to school, he immediately attracted the attention of the whole audience. It's a Lamborghini Venezia. Whose rich second generation is this? He actually took the goddess of our school. It's really hummed up. Who is that guy? Li Hao rarely comes to school. When he appeared in a Lamborghini, many students still didn't know Li Hao and said very indignantly. You don't know him, he is a celebrity in our school. This guy is Li Hao, this guy rarely comes to school. This guy often brings goddesses with him. Of course, some people know Li Hao. Just when Li Hao parked the car and got out of the car with Ye Xiun, a handsome young man, holding a bouquet of flowers in his hand, came straight to Ye Xiun. He only had Ye Xiun in his eyes and completely ignored Li Hao beside him. Yeah, teacher, yeah, I like you. Can you be my girlfriend? This guy handed the flowers in his hand to Ye Xiun and said directly to Ye Xiun. Confession. Obviously, this guy was confessing to Ye Xiun directly. Ye Xiun was stunned for a moment. She didn't expect that someone would confess to her at this moment. A faint arc appeared at the corner of Ye Xiun's mouth. She did look at Li Hao beside her, with a meaningful look in her beautiful eyes. At this moment, Li Hao beside her was also stunned. This guy clearly didn't take me seriously for a day, and confessed to Ye Xiun in front of me. The flowers are beautiful, thank you, classmate. At this moment, Ye Xiun actually took the flowers from the other party and said lightly. The young man was delighted when he saw this scene. Teacher, yeah, did you promise me? What was Ye Xiun about to say? Sorry, she already has a boyfriend. At this moment, a voice came from the side. God level tip, report the walking 500,000 at the beginning. Author, Tian Taido. Chapter 420. She already has a boyfriend. Li Hao's voice came from the side and fell into the young man's ears, but it made his expression change. Who are you? Are you her boyfriend? Songwei looked at Li Hao coldly and said in a deep voice. He had just come to Jiangbei University not long ago and didn't know the guy in front of him, but he knew the goddess in front of him very well. The most recognized goddess of Jiangbei University, she is also a teacher at the school. She has a beautiful figure and a good temperament. Songwei fell in love with Ye Xiun at the first sight and vowed to pursue Ye Xiun. In fact, Songwei also inquired about Ye Xiun, and even asked his father specifically. He knew that Ye Xiun's identity should be very good, so for Songwei, he became more determined to pursue Ye Xiun. Determination to get it? However, his father said that he could only pursue it through normal means. When Ye Xiun first came here, the vice president of a college in Jiangbei University even wanted to use his power to suppress people and plot against Ye Xiun. In the end, not only did he lose his hat, but he was even imprisoned. The end was very miserable. Songwei even learned from other classmates that Ye Xiun often came to school in a sports car owned by a rich second-generation man who seemed to be Ye Xiun's boyfriend. But Songwei doesn't care about that, so what if he has a boyfriend? He doesn't care at all, as long as he can get the other party. Just now, he naturally saw Li Hao, but he ignored Li Hao. Now he looked at Li Hao with a sense of pride in his eyes. His father is a big shot in Jiangbei City and the secretary of the city chief. Who dares not to give his father face? And Songwei looked at the guy in front of him. He was about the same age as himself and looked more handsome than himself. He was obviously a pretty boy. Songwei suddenly felt uncomfortable in his heart. So what if he was good looking? This is a world that depends on strength. Yes, I am her boyfriend, and we already live together. Li Hao looked at the guy in front of him and said with a smile. What? Li Hao, what are you talking about? Hearing Li Hao's words, Ye Xiun next to her was stunned and stared at Li Hao. Are you not talking nonsense? Are we living in the same villa? Li Hao said calmly again. I live in a villa, but... Ye Xiun was about to say something, but was directly interrupted by Li Hao. That's it? Li Hao said directly in a deep voice. Songwei next to him became extremely ugly when he heard Li Hao's words. Although he had expected it, he still felt very uncomfortable when he heard this. However, this Ye Xiun is really the most elegant and stunning woman he has ever seen. He really wants to sleep with her, even just once. Song Wei looked at Li Hao coldly, with anger in his eyes. But at this moment, Li Hao's eyes fell on Song Wei in front of him again. Li Hao naturally saw the green on Song Wei's face, but he didn't care. "You can get out of here," Li Hao said directly and calmly. "What? You want me to get out? Do you even know who I am?" Hearing Li Hao's words, Song Wei immediately became angry and said harshly to Li Hao. Li Hao's face darkened. Where the hell did he get this stupid green head? Pa! The next moment, Li Hao slapped Song Wei's face with a slap, and a crisp sound suddenly sounded. "Damn it!" At this moment, everyone around them stared blankly at the scene in front of them, their mouths wide enough to stuff a sausage. "Just hit him. Damn, you're so brave. How dare he hit Song Wei? Song Wei seems to have some background. Now there's something good to watch." Immediately afterwards, a series of uproarious voices sounded again, and they were shocked by the scene in front of them. "I don't care who you are. Get out of here and stop being an eyesore here." Li Hao's cold voice sounded again. At this moment, Song Wei was completely stunned by the beating. He didn't expect that someone would dare to hit him. "How dare you hit me? You're looking for death. Even the principal doesn't dare to hit me. I'm going to kill you." Song Wei covered his beaten face, pointed at Li Hao and said angrily, even his father had never beaten him since he was a child. He was the only one who hit others. The next moment, Song Wei turned towards Li Hao again. Li Hao rushed over, trying to beat back the blow he had just received. However, Song Wei just rushed in front of Li Hao. Bang! Ah! Li Hao kicked Song Wei directly in the stomach and kicked Song Wei far away. Song Wei was immediately kicked and screamed. "Miserable! This Song Wei is really miserable. There's so much nonsense." At this time, Li Hao's voice came out faintly, and even his expression did not change much, as if Song Wei was like an ant in his eyes. Song Wei lay on the ground holding his stomach, very embarrassed. "Ah! It hurts me to death. I want to tell my dad, I want the principal to fire you. I want you to kneel down and beg for mercy." Song Wei's eyes were red, and he endured the pain and said bitterly to Li Hao. He. When Li Hao heard Song Wei's words, he laughed disdainfully. "Ask the principal to expel me? Does he dare?" Li Hao said proudly. As soon as Li Hao's voice came out, everyone was shocked again. How crazy! Actually, even the principal doesn't pay attention to it. But at this moment, the crowd around suddenly started making noise. "Everyone, look over there. It's the principal and the others. Oh my God, there are also the vice principal, director and others. What happened today? Why did they all show up? What's going on?" At this moment, everyone's eyes were all looking in one direction, and they saw figures walking straight towards the school gate. Most of these people were middle-aged men, wearing suits, leather shoes, or whether he has a slicked back hairstyle or straight Mediterranean hair, he doesn't look like he has a fat belly, fat head, big ears, and a shiny face. He has a big boss temperament about him. And these people who appeared were obviously the senior officials of Jiangbei University. The president, vice president, dean, director, etc. were all listed. For the students of Jiangbei University, these people were all senior officials of Jiangbei University. Shenlong saw the big shots have never been seen, but they never thought that they would all appear at this moment. There were 20 or 30 people in the crowd, and they all looked prepared and solemn. For a moment, everyone couldn't help but wonder, what happened? It seems like something big is about to happen. Soon, those people arrived at the school gate, not far from Li Hao. The next moment, they also noticed Li Hao. After all, the car Li Hao drove was very conspicuous. Whose car is this? Move aside quickly. The leader, Li Lai, the president of Jiang University, spoke directly to the crowd at this moment, and then he saw Ye Xiun here. Huh? Teacher Ye, you are here too. Just in time, come with me to meet the boss above. Teacher Ye, you are so beautiful, it is just a courtesy. Li Lai directly spoke to Ye Xiun and said that he had just received an urgent notice that someone from above was coming down and asked them to prepare for the highest standard of special reception. When he heard the news, Li Lai's whole body was filled with excitement. I was shocked. The highest level of reception is not enough even if you come down from the city center. What kind of boss is coming down? For a moment, Li Lai was shocked beyond measure. He quickly reacted and made all the school's senior officials anxious in a very short period of time. Then they hurried here and prepared to greet him in person. Preparation. At this moment, Li Lai's eyes lit up when he saw Ye Xiun, who was tall and wearing a cheongsam. He immediately thought of asking Ye Xiun to go to the door with him to act as a courtesy customer service or something. Meet the boss above? When Ye Xiun heard Li Lai's words, her brows suddenly furrowed and she asked her to come along to greet her as a courtesy. Who does this make her look like? Ye Xiun suddenly felt a little unhappy. However, Ye Xiun did not wait for a response. Principal Li. Song Wei's voice came from the ground on one side again. The voice was a little weak, but it was like seeing a savior. When Li Lai heard the sound, he looked over and saw Song Wei kneeling on the ground, holding his stomach. Eh? Isn't this Song Wei? Why are you kneeling on the ground? Your dad is on the way. Li Lai was startled and said directly again. No, Principal Li, it's that guy. He hit me and kicked me. You should expel him. Song Weitong blushed and pointed at Li Hao and said fiercely. Hearing Song Wei's words, Li Lai frowned immediately, and then his eyes fell directly on Li Hao. Did you hit this? Li Lai directly asked Li Hao coldly. This Song Wei is the secretary of the city chief. He might come with the city chief later. His son was actually beaten in this school, and he was the most young. If the big principal can't even solve this problem, then he will definitely offend the other party. Wouldn't he be the principal in vain? So what if it's me? When Li Hao heard Li Lai's voice, he couldn't help but laugh again and said lightly. Damn, this guy is so brave. Where does he get the confidence? Isn't he afraid of being fired? This is the principal. How dare you speak like this? When those people around heard Li Hao's words, they couldn't help but burst out in uproar again. They felt that the Li Hao in front of them was really crazy and dared to speak to the principal in this tone. Li Lai's expression turned cold again when he heard Li Hao's words. Apologize to him. If you can't make him forgive you, just wait to be expelled. Li Lai said to Li Hao in a deep voice again. Ha. Did you hear that? Kneel down and apologize to me. Give me a couple of slaps to relieve my anger. Maybe I will forgive you. Otherwise, just wait to be expelled. After hearing Li Lai's words, Song Wei suddenly sneered again. Principal Li, this is a misunderstanding. At this time, Ye Xiun next to her heard this and said in a deep voice. She did not expect that a small matter would develop to this point, and it all happened because of herself, just because the other party gave her confess. Teacher Ye, no matter what, it is wrong to hit someone. Although he is your friend, there is no discussion on this matter. Li Lai immediately looked at Ye Xiun again. He knew that Ye Xiun knew the young man in front of him. He often visited the forum of the college and knew that Ye Xiun often came to school in a sports car. Although Ye Xiun's background and strength were also very strong, she was in the Magic City and it was not easy to manage Jiangbei. However, the father of Song Wei in front of him was the secretary of the mayor of Jiangbei. Li Lai knew what he should choose. Hurry up and apologize to Song Wei. Don't waste everyone's time. Otherwise, I will fire you directly. Li Lai said to Li Hao in a stern voice. Ha. Sorry, I changed my mind. Unless you kneel down and apologize to me, let me slap you twice, and then give me your Lamborghini Veneto, otherwise, I will not forgive you. Not only will you be expelled, but there will be no place for you in the whole Jiangbei. At this time, Song Wei said proudly again, and he actually wanted to take Li Hao's sports car again, and he also wanted to make sure that Li Hao didn't bring it. This is already a naked threat. Li Hao quietly watched the scene in front of him, and his expression did not change much when he listened to what Li Lai and Song Wei said. But in an instant, a faint arc appeared at the corner of Li Hao's mouth. He he. What are you laughing at? Li Lai saw Li Hao's smile, but his brows condensed again, and he said in a deep voice. Are you sure you want me to apologize? Are you sure you want to expel me? Li Hao said lightly again, with a fearless look. Li Lai, who saw this scene, couldn't help but tremble again in his heart, and felt a little separated. Could it be that this guy in front of him has some background? The guy who can afford a Lamborghini Veneno must have a good background, and he should be very rich. However, being rich is nothing. There are so many rich people in this world, and the most important thing is to have power and status. Principal, the mayor is on the way. But at this time, a voice from the side came into Li Lai's ears again. It was a reminder from a vice principal next to him, and Li Lai's face suddenly changed. Yes, the mayor is on his way and will be here soon. Why is he still talking nonsense here? Li Lai gave Li Hao another fierce look. Apologize to him, otherwise, you will be expelled after I receive him. Li Lai said sternly again, and then he went directly to the school gate to prepare to receive the mayor. The vice presidents, deans, directors, and other people behind him also hurriedly followed him. Not long after, the whole Jiangda was shaken. Many students also heard the news that a big shot was coming to Jiangda. The senior executives of Jiangda went out to greet him. Which big shot was coming to Jiangda? For a while, everyone was confused and curious, and they all went to the school gate to watch. God level tip, report the walking 500,000 at the beginning. Author, Tian Taido. Chapter 421. A big shot is coming to Jiangda. In an instant, the news spread quickly, and figures gathered from all corners of Jiangbei University towards the gate. In a short time, the gate was already filled with people. Because the city capital was about to arrive, Principal Li Lai no longer cared about Li Hao and Song Wei at the moment. He went directly to the door to prepare for the reception. He just said something to Li Hao and asked Li Hao to apologize to Song Wei. Ask for forgiveness from the other party, otherwise, Li Hao will have no choice but to wait to be fired. This is already a threat to Chi Kuokyo. Is this guy going to be in trouble? Will he apologize to Song Wei? The principal has already spoken. He shouldn't have taken action against Song Wei, now it's better. Many people's eyes fell on Li Hao again. In their opinion, Li Hao might have to kneel down to apologize and give the sports car to Song Wei. Otherwise, he would not only be fired. I'm afraid I won't be able to survive in Jiangbei. Did you hear that? Kneel down and apologize to me. At this time, Song Wei said sternly to Li Hao again, with a vicious look on his face. He had been beaten so badly just now and now he wanted to regain his place. However, when Li Hao heard Song Wei's words, he looked at Song Wei again, with a sharp look in his eyes. Only one glance fell into Song Wei's eyes. Song Wei seemed to see a scene as terrifying as hell from Li Hao's eyes. Ah! The next moment, Song Wei screamed again and sat down on the ground again. A look of terror appeared on his face, and his face was extremely pale. Ghost! Don't kill me! Don't kill me! Song Wei kept talking, as if he was stunned. Huh? What happened to Song Wei? What's going on? Then why does Song Wei suddenly go crazy? He seems to be very scared. Everyone, look, Then why is Songwei wet? I peed. Songwei actually peed. When the surrounding Jiang University students saw this scene, they couldn't help but make an uproar again. They saw that Songwei's pants were all wet. He was obviously frightened to the point of peeing, and they felt a little baffled because in their eyes that Li Hao didn't even move. Why did Songwei become like this? It's really weird. Li Hao looked at the scene in front of him calmly, with a faint smile on his face. This was just a small trick used by Li Hao. Of course, Li Hao could also kill Songwei directly, but Li Hao was not a murderous person, and although Songwei had offended him, he was not guilty enough to die. Next to him, a pair of beautiful eyes stared blankly at this scene, and then looked at Li Hao again, with an inexplicable meaning in his eyes. Yashiun knew that it must be the guy in front of her. The next moment, Songwei woke up again, and the terrifying scene in front of him disappeared. He was sitting on the ground, his buttocks were wet, and he was surrounded by mocking eyes. Ah! How could this happen? Songwei suddenly let out another cry of fear. He was so frightened that he peed. In front of so many people, this was something he had never encountered before. For a moment, Songwei felt that he was not feeling well. Shameless. His face was completely lost at this moment. Is it you? Is it you? Songwei pointed at Li Hao and said in horror, feeling that it must be the guy in front of him who was responsible. What do you think? Li Hao said calmly without denying it, but when it fell into Songwei's ears, it shocked him to the extreme. You are looking for death. Just wait. My dad is coming. Songwei said to Li Hao again, got up and ran away with his crotch between his legs. His pants were soaked and his face was humiliated. He was too embarrassed to stay any longer, even if he was facing the bedroom. I ran in the direction to change clothes. His father is coming soon, and together with the city leader, he must tell his father about this matter and ask his father to stand up for him. Everyone, step aside. Get out of the way. Get out of the way. The school security guards also became busy and began to set up a cordon, surrounding the area at the gate to ensure order on the scene. In the square at the school gate, a temporary stage has been set up, and the speed is not ordinary. Li Lai and others stood in a row at the door. Li Lai stood at the front, and next to him were the vice principal, dean, etc., standing in order according to the high ground of authority, trying their best to smile and be ready. And on the roads around Jiangda, many traffic police began to control traffic. Guard every 50 meters. There are even some people wearing plain clothes and slippers, who look like second-rate people in society, but in fact the plain clothes are arranged to be hidden among the crowd to ensure safety. Finally, as time passed, more than 10 minutes passed. Several more police cars drove over. From the leading police car, a middle-aged man with a big belly got out, but he was wearing a uniform and looked like he had the aura of a superior. Wang Dejiang, the chief of Jiangbei Police Station and one of the nominal deputy chiefs, arrived first. When Li Lai and others saw Wang Dejiang, their expressions couldn't help but be shocked, and they rushed forward to greet him. The king is in charge. The king is in charge. Li Lai and others shouted respectfully directly to Wang Dejiang. Wang Dejiang glanced at Li Lai and others and nodded slightly. Principal Li, long time no see. Wang Dejiang had no airs at all, and with a smile on his face, he spoke directly to Li Lai. Chief Wang, why didn't the mayor come? Li Lai asked again. The news he received said that the city chief would come in person, but at this moment Wang Dejiang came first, so Xian wanted to ask clearly. The Lord Mayor will be here soon, it should take a few minutes. Why don't I come to give you a preview first? Wang Dejiang said lightly. Chief Wang, do you know what the specific situation is? Can you reveal a little more? Why did the city chief suddenly want to come to Jiang University? Li Lai was unsure and asked again. However, after hearing Li Lai's words, Wang Dejiang smiled faintly. It's not just the city chief who wants to come down, there are also people from higher UPS who want to come down. Wang Dejiang actually didn't know what the specific matter was, but he knew that it seemed to be a big event this time. Otherwise, it would not have attracted all the big guys from Jinghua to come down in person. What? Are there people from higher up who are coming down? Hearing Wang Dejiang's words, Li Lai was shocked again. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. God level tip, report the walking 500,000 at the beginning. Author, Tian Taido. Chapter 422. How could a small Jiangbei University attract the big bosses from above to come down in person? There was no news at all from the front, right? What is going on? Hearing Wang Dejiang's words, Li Lai's heart condensed again, and he suddenly became confused. Li Lai couldn't help but look at Wang Dejiang again, and was about to ask again. Wang Dejiang said calmly. I don't know the details, but it's a good thing anyway. Your Jiangbei University is going to become famous. It seems like a big shot is going to be born. Hearing Wang Dejiang's words, Li Lai was shocked to the extreme. Is Zhang University going to have a big shot? Why didn't he know? Big shot. Who is it? Li Lai was also a little confused. Are they all here for someone from their school? For a moment, Li Lai was filled with doubts in his heart. Just wait, it shouldn't take more than a few minutes. It's coming soon. At this time, Wang Dejiang said directly again, and then stood next to Li Lai, standing and waiting. When everyone saw this scene, their hearts were filled with concentration, and their eyes were looking into the distance again, expecting and waiting. Just 2 more minutes later. I only saw a convoy appearing in my sight. At the front, there was a mounted police officer, then there was a black red flag car, and in the middle was a coaster. There were 7 or 8 cars in total. The formation is not that big. The motorcade appeared in everyone's sight in a mighty manner, driving towards this side, approaching from a distance, and in just a moment it was in front of everyone. When everyone saw this convoy, they were shocked again. Because these cars are not ordinary, the license plates are also very impressive, and there are some special signs posted on both sides of the doors. The next moment, the convoy stopped directly. Then, from these cars, figures got out one after another, all in ragged suits, with extraordinary temperament, and some of them were carrying briefcases. Immediately afterwards, someone also got off the coaster. The people who came down were both men and women, and they were basically in their 40s or 50s, but their temperaments were very outstanding, and they had the aura of a big boss at first glance. Among them, there was a middle-aged man wearing trousers, leather shoes, and a white shirt. His hair was somewhat gray, his figure was somewhat thin, he had a square face, and there was a wise look in his eyes. As soon as he appeared, everyone's hearts were drawn to him again. It was a shock. It's Lu Hanqing. Oh my God. At this time, there were some low-pitched discussions among the crowd. Someone directly recognized this middle-aged man. It was Lu Hanqing, the #1 boss in Jiangbei. Of course, the boss here was not like the head of the Chen family. He is a monk. What a huge battle. In short, they are all the big guys from Jiangbei. People who are rarely seen in ordinary times are all here at this moment. This battle is not a big one. When Wang Dejiang, Li Lai and others saw Lu Hanqing, they immediately came up to him and came to Coster's side. Lu Hanqing nodded, glanced at everyone, and immediately fell on Li Lai. You are the president of Jiangbei University, right? Lu Hanqing said to Li Lai that he didn't know Li Lai, and he didn't pay much attention to the president of a university on weekdays, but before coming here, he specifically searched for Li Lai's photos. A big shot has come out of Zhang University. The principal, Li Lai, will naturally take advantage of it and may be promoted again soon. I am Li Lai, the president of Jiangbei University. I welcome Mayor Lu to visit our school to inspect our work. Li Lai said immediately, feeling extremely proud and at the same time surprisingly nervous. Haha. Don't be nervous, just relax. Today, we are not here to inspect any work. Please wait. I heard Lu Hanqinj laugh again, and said calmly with an amiable look, without any airs. Wait. Still waiting? Hearing Lu Hanqinj's words, Li Lai froze again, but there were still some doubts in his head, but he couldn't ask anything. Now, the real owner should be coming, right? Another 2 minutes later. Suddenly, some convoys appeared on the road again. Those green cars were all the cars of the garrison. When everyone saw this convoy, they were instantly shocked. Oh my God! What on earth is going on? Look at those license plates. Hiss. Dot. A series of shocking sounds suddenly sounded from the mouths of those around them, and the sounds of gasping for air continued to come from their mouths, and the incomparable shock could be seen in their eyes. There are only 5 or 6 cars in this convoy, but there are no exceptions. From the license plate numbers, it can be seen what kind of bosses are sitting in these cars. The next moment, these cars came straight to the square in front of Jiangbei University and stopped directly. The car door opened, and some middle-aged men wearing garrison uniforms walked out. They were all strong and full of majestic aura. The leader was obviously Nai Yuntian, followed by Li Dayuan, Qi Lianshan, and others. At this moment, each of their faces had a touch of uncontrollable excitement. They knew what was about to happen and had received the news before they came. When Nai Yuntian and others appeared, Lu Hanqinj was still a step behind. This was the real boss, and a strong man. Is he the garrison commander of the Southwest Garrison Army? Oh my God, I didn't expect that even the garrison commander of the Southwest Garrison Army came. And the deputy garrison commander, the garrison commander, and so on. Today is really an eye-opener. They are all big guys. They are all big guys. The people around, especially the students of Jiangda, saw such a big scene at this moment, and they made extremely shocked voices again. At this moment, it was really a gathering of big guys. When did they see so many big guys? Nai Yuntian glanced at the build platform, and then glanced at Wang Hanqinj and others. Nai, the garrison commander. What's going on? Who from Jinghua is coming this time? At this time, Wang Hanqinj asked Nai Yuntian again. It was him who just got the news that a big shot from Jinghua was coming down and asked him to prepare for the reception. The address was Jiangbei University, but Wang Hanqinj had no idea who was going to be welcomed and why. He couldn't help asking at this moment. I don't know who it is, but as for why. Wait. You will know in a moment. Nai Yuntian said slowly again. When Li Lai and others heard this, they were shocked again. Still waiting? The main person hasn't come yet? Even the person who made Nai Yuntian wait, what kind of identity must he have? God level tip, report the walking 500,000 at the beginning. Author, Tian Taido. Chapter 423. Still have to wait? Anyone else coming? When Nai Yuntian finished speaking, everyone was still shocked to the extreme. Even at this moment, the rightful owner has not come yet? Everyone saw again that Nai Yuntian and a group of people from the Southwest Guard stood directly beside Lu Hanqinj and others, waiting eagerly. Nai Yuntian also glanced at the crowd. Even though it was crowded, he still saw that aloof figure in the crowd. Li Hao naturally saw this scene, and even Nai Yuntian. Li Hao didn't know what Nai Yuntian was doing here. He stood in the crowd, restraining his aura, but his appearance was outstanding. When he saw Na Yuntian looking at him, he actually smiled at himself. What does this mean? Li Hao was a little confused. He probably didn't come to see him, right? If he was looking for him, Na Yuntian should have been directly in front of him at this moment. As a result, Li Hao ignored it and stood quietly among the crowd, watching the show. In the square at the gate of Jiangbei University, bigwigs gathered, and the students around them were shocked to the extreme. Just when everyone was waiting. In a corner next to it, Song Wei came here again. He had changed into another set of clothes and pants. However, at this moment, Song Wei's face was already red and swollen. It was caused by Li Hao's previous attack. Called. Didn't you see the big boss coming down? If you want to watch the excitement, go to the side. Song Wei wanted to move forward, but was blocked by the security guard, who said to Song Wei, "The man next to Mayor Lu is my father. Let me come over." Song Wei said directly to the security guard again. The security guard was stunned when he heard Song Wei's words. What? Your father? I want to find a better reason to go there. The security guard obviously didn't believe it and said directly to Song Wei again. Song Wei was speechless. That man was really his father. Dad. When Song Wei saw this scene, he shouted directly to the front again. His voice was quite loud. For a moment, the figures in front of him all turned around. Wang Hanqinj, Li Lai and others all frowned and looked at Song Wei with a hint of displeasure in their eyes. Who is this kid? Don't you know they are preparing to receive the big boss now? What is the name of the ghost that is shaking in the wind and fire? At this time, next to Wang Hanqinj, there was a middle-aged man holding a briefcase. He looked like Wang Hanqinj's follower. When he heard Song Wei's voice, he immediately saw Song Wei, and his expression couldn't help but change. And this middle-aged man is surprisingly Song Wei's father, Song Renjia. Song Renjia didn't want to pay attention to Song Wei. This was an important moment to welcome the big boss. He was still calling him in front of so many big bosses like City Chief Lu and Nai Zhenzhen. He really didn't have any eyesight at all. He didn't see the people next to him. The expressions of Chief Lu and the others changed. Song Renjia gave Song Wei a look but did not respond. Dad, I'm here. Dad. However, when Song Wei saw this scene, he shouted excitedly to Song Renjia. Song Renjia's face turned dark when he heard Song Wei's voice again. Isn't this a scam? Song Renjia was speechless, and immediately came to Lu Hanqinj's side again, and asked Lu Hanqinj softly for instructions. Chief Lu, I'll go over there and come right away. Hurry up. Lu Hanqinj said directly, already a little unhappy. Suddenly, Song Renjia came to the front of Song Wei again. Song Renjia immediately saw Song Wei with a swollen face, and his expression darkened again. Are you so stupid? Didn't you see that I and the city chief are preparing to receive the boss? What is your name? What's going on your face? Song Renjia scolded Song Wei directly. Dad, you have to help me take revenge. I was beaten. Song Wei immediately said to Song Renjia, looking very aggrieved. What? Who dares to hit you? Don't you know you are me? Song Renjia's expression suddenly changed when he heard Song Wei's cry, and he said in a deep voice, Isn't this kid usually just hitting others? Did you get beaten up today? Dad, I told you. That boy didn't take you seriously at all. Song Wei said directly. Hearing Song Wei's words, Song Renjia's expression suddenly hardened again, and then he continued. Okay. I understand, I will stand up for you. But wait for a while, wait until I and the mayor and the others receive the big boss who came down from above. You can go to the side and wait. After saying that, Song Renjia turned around and returned to Lu Hanqinj and others. As for the fact that his son was beaten, it was really a trivial matter for him. When Song Wei heard his father's words, he felt happy, and then he went directly to the side and stood there, waiting. Song Wei also scanned the crowd, trying to find the figure who hit him, but he didn't see it because there were too many people. Finally, another half hour later, everyone saw that another convoy appeared on the road in the distance, led by several red flag cars, black and atmospheric, and they were not local cars, but it could be seen from the license plates. This car is unusual, because the photos on the car were all of Jinghua, and they were labeled as the Garrison Army, but they were not the Southwest Garrison Army, but the Jinghua Garrison Army. Figures came down from 7 or 8 cars one after another, and they were all wearing the same Garrison Army uniforms as Nai Yuntian and others. But the shoulder straps of these clothes had at least 2 bars and 2 hearts. The leader was a middle-aged man who looked to be in his 40s or 50s. He was sturdy and had a fierce aura and a transcendent demeanor. The shoulder straps on his shoulders were not so simple, but a pattern. It turned out to be a person on the upper. And from the middle-aged man, there was a full momentum, and it was clear at a glance that he was not an ordinary person, but a powerful cultivator. Next to the middle-aged man, his shoulder straps showed something unusual, and his rank was the same as Nai Yuntian's. One of them held a tray with a set of neatly folded clothes on it, which were also the clothes of the garrison. Another person held another tray with a certificate on it. 3 generals, plus 7 or 8 colonels. This lineup is really powerful. Oh my God! Who is this man? Look at his shoulders. They are all big guys. They are holding the uniforms of the garrison. What are they doing? For a moment, the students of Jiangbei University who saw the scene were boiling at this moment, and it was difficult to hide the excitement in their hearts. Big guys, really big guys. They really saw big guys today. Everyone's face was filled with an unconcealable shock. And when Lu Hanchinj, Li Lai and others saw the people who appeared in front of them, they were shocked again. A big guy of this level actually came down. Lu Hanchinj knew that in the whole Dawa, the number of people who could be sealed would never exceed 2 hands, and they were all people who really stood at the top. Even Nai Yuntian next to him, as a garrison commander of the garrison army, was only a few, and there would be no more than 30 in the whole Dawa. At this moment, Nai Yuntian took the lead and led Li Dayuan, Qi Lianshan, and others to meet them. Wang Si. Nai Yuntian shouted directly to the middle-aged man. Well, Nai Yuntian, it's been a long time since we last met. The middle-aged man immediately looked at Nai Yuntian again, nodded, with a smile on his face, and said lightly, and this middle-aged man called Wang Si by Nai Yuntian was the head of the Special Security Division, the most direct superior of many garrison troops, and the most direct superior of Nai Yuntian, and a powerful Jindan realm cultivator, only one step away from the master of the Huashan realm. Yes. Wang Si. Nai Yuntian nodded, and then said to the people around him. This is the chief of the Special Security Division, Wang Tianquan, Chief Wang Si. Chief Wang. Wang Si. Wang Si. Lu Hanchinj, Li Lai and others were shocked again when they heard Nai Yuntian's words. The middle-aged man in front of them was actually the chief of the Special Security Division. He was truly a person standing at the top of Dawa. Not only was he powerful, but his identity was also very unusual. For a moment, everyone shouted to Wang Tianquan again, with respect in their voices. Wang Tianquan waved his hand, and then smiled and sighed. This time, Yu Jiangbei has a dragon. Congratulations. Originally, Mr. Zhao wanted to come down in person, but because of some things that happened temporarily, he couldn't get away, so he sent me down. Everyone was shocked again when they heard Wang Tianquan's words. Mr. Zhao? Who else could it be except Zhao Tianshen, the master of the transformation realm? That's a true figure who is second to none and above 10,000 people. Even he is ready to come down? When Lu Hanchinj, Li Lai and others heard Wang Tianquan's words, they were shocked, but they were still a little puzzled. Ha ha! Isn't it? Na Yuntian knew some inside information and laughed again. But at this time, Wang Tianquan asked Na Yuntian directly again. Na Yuntian, are you sure that Master Li is here? When Wang Qianan came, he had already verified that the target of his mission this time was actually a master figure, and also the newly promoted master in Dehua. Wang Tianquan thought this was normal, but what surprised Wang Tianquan was that this master was actually a student of Jiangbei University. Well, Na Yuntian said directly again. In that case, let's get down to business. Na Yuntian, take me to find Master Li. Hearing Na Yuntian's words, Wang Tianquan said directly to Na Yuntian again. Wang Tianquan's voice was not concealed, and when it fell into the ears of the people around him, it made Lu Hanchinj, Li Lai and others feel surprised. Is Wang Tianquan here to find someone? Who? Master Li? What kind of person can be called a master? Isn't that? For a moment, everyone's heart was shocked to the extreme. Well, Chief Wang, Master Li is here now. Na Yuntian laughed again when he heard Wang Tianquan's words, and said in a deep voice. Well, Wang Tian couldn't help but feel surprised. Master Li is here? Before Wang Qianan could speak again, Na Yuntian had already turned around and looked in one direction, and then walked straight in that direction. Go. Follow. Seeing this scene, Wang Tianquan immediately said to the person next to him, and then followed him. Step by step, Na Yuntian went straight to the gate of Jiangbei University, and then came to the front of a crowd. Na Yuntian still didn't stop. The security guards who were originally maintaining order stepped aside, and the crowd from Jiangbei University who were watching the show also involuntarily gave way to a passage as Na Yuntian approached, with expressions of surprise. Na Yuntian walked directly into the crowd. The next moment, Na Yuntian came to a young man in front of everyone's attention. The young man was extremely handsome. Grandmaster Li. Na Yuntian shouted directly to the young man in front of him, but when this voice fell into the ears of everyone around him, everyone was shocked to the extreme. Li Hao stared blankly at the scene in front of him, not knowing why. The moment he saw Na Yuntian walking towards him, Li Hao's heart suddenly condensed. Unexpectedly, this Na Yuntian really came for him. So, are these people in front of you also here for you? The city chief, the garrison envoy, and then the chief of the special security department came down. Were they all here for me? This battle is really big. Li Hao frowned slightly and said calmly to Na Yuntian. Is something wrong? At this time, Wang Tian also followed Li Hao. His eyes fell on Li Hao, and his heart couldn't help but condense again. It was exactly what Mr. Zhao said, he was such a young man. Is the young man in front of me the new Grandmaster who defeated Mr. Zhao? It's really extraordinary. Hello, Grandmaster Li, I am Wang Tianquan from Special Security Division. Wang Tianquan introduced himself directly to Li Hao. Just tell me if you have anything to say. Li Hao frowned again and said calmly, his expression was calm, and he didn't make too much trouble at all because the guy in front of him was a big boss. Wang Tianquan couldn't help but be startled, his face condensed slightly, as if a hot face was pressed against a cold buttocks, but he did not dare to feel unhappy at all, and immediately expressed his intention directly. Grandmaster Li, I'm here to confer a title on you this time. Last time you drove away the invading enemies and protected our peace. You made great military exploits and were named the protector of the guards. This is yours. As Wang Tian's words fell, everyone around him felt a buzzing in his head, as if he had heard the thunderous news.